Welcome to Mme Mmastwale episode 5 with Mother O. Thank you for watching, subscribing, liking and sharing. Next week, it will be the finale of the first season in line with our Mother's Day. The next season, the second season is coming very soon. Today's topic is resolving conflicts between mothers and daughters-in-law. There are many mothers and daughters-in-law who are not fortunate enough to enjoy a smooth, trouble-free relationship. In fact, even some of the healthiest relationships between mothers and daughters-in-law experience challenges. Today, we have brought some experts to shed some light as to how we can resolve those conflicts when they arise. Our guest today, I am so excited to introduce to you my very own mother-in-law. We have been together for 30 years. So we have Mama Jane Lepoko, Gogo now, Jane Lepoko. Please greet the people and tell them, how old are you?
Yalidumedisa bo Mme Mmastwale libo makoti. Mina ngingogol phoko Jane. Onemnyaka lo 82 budala. And sengina 62 ihlele emshadweni. Nginolwazi oluningi kakhulu ngendaba zomshado.
Wow, this is a great wealth of experience that we'll be tapping into today. 62 years in marriage and 82 years old. So, sibusisekile, and we will enjoy this session today. We also have our social worker, a wellness officer, Phumzile Nxumalo, with us in the studio. Please greet the audience.
A new beginning greetings to our viewers. We are blessed today. Let us sit back, enjoy the show, and learn from whatever that we are going to share today.
Thank you, Phumzile. We also have our psychologist that was with us from the very first beginning. Our psychologist, Gugu Makome, we welcome you. Please greet the audience.
Thank you, Mme Mmastwale. It's lovely to be back to the show. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in and subscribing and liking. We want to give you a fulfilling show, one that is filled with learning opportunities. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Thank you very much. Today's topic is resolving conflicts between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. Winston Churchill says, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. And courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. I want us to briefly unpack what conflict is about today. We'll be doing it together. I won't be doing it alone. So conflict is a normal part of any healthy relationship. So don't take it personal. It is normal. So how we handle conflict is very critical. It can either make or break the relationship. When conflict is mismanaged, it can cause great harm to a relationship. However, when conflict is dealt with in a healthy way, it will strengthen that relationship. Before we go any further, I want us to come to a common understanding, understanding in general what conflict is about. So, Gugu, I would like that you, explain to us general what conflict is about. It is not necessarily for mothers-in-law, but generally, when we talk about conflict, what are we talking about?
Thank you, Ma. Conflict is disagreements, lack of understanding, lack of accommodation, lack of empathy, lack of respect when two people are engaging together, which then often leads to tension. And then the tension escalates, rising up and leading to disagreements in that relationship. This can happen between mother and child. it can happen between husband and wife, it can happen between colleagues. But the essence of the conflict is a disagreement over something. Ngesintu kuxabana kwebantu nekungavisisani when two or more people are involved in communicating over something. So one of the things also that contribute to the conflict is poor lack of communication or even the lack of understanding in the communication of whatever it is that the people are engaging about, ma.
Siyabonga. Thank you so much for, bringing us on board so that we have a common understanding where we are departing from. To say conflict is about lack of understanding, lack of communication, lack of empathy, lack of respect and disagreement. So somewhere we are disagreeing about something, or we are not understanding each other, or we are not able to accommodate one another, or we don't feel what another person, the pain that another person is feeling. Gogo, sometimes it is very hard. It's very hard. It is very stressful. It is very difficult, when this conflict arises between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. When the mother-in-law is sitting in her corner, she doesn't understand, what is it, that really happened so that we be in this situation. And the daughter-in-law can't even sleep. Say, my mother-in-law, hey, kanjan. So what encouragement can you give to daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law that are going through the rough situation in their relationship, even as we start off? What word of encouragement can you bring to them concerning their situation?
Ngiyabonga mama. Ngasho nje ukuthi Mme Mmastwale uma engena la umakoti wakhe la ekhaya lakhe akamthathe kokuqala nje ukuthi umntwana kumele amfundzise. Uthi angalinzeli kubona lokuhle kodwa kulomntwana. Ngoba usaqala ungena emshadweni into letiningi akatati. Uthi uyaliqala lelikhaya lisha. Angamthathi nje ukuthi ubona umuntu omdzala lo wathi konke kupheka, wathi kuclean, wathi ini. Ufuna aqale phasi amfundise ukuthi avume akumfundisa ukuthi umntwana nami lo ufana nabantwana bami unama mistakes. Akawabeketelele ama mistakes amakoti wakhe. Angathathi ukuthi unolwazi akadi lutho. Nomakoti naye akavume ukuthi mamazalo wakhe amfundzise. Angathi yena wathi konke kwaleli khaya ngoba uyafika. Akade makhaya futhi awafanani. Mithetho emakhaya ayifanani. Akamethembe ukuthi make dala wami lokhu la ngitshela kona mhlambe ngiloku lokhu la sahlele ukuminyaka eminingi noma kuhle noma kubi akavuma kufundzisa angene kule family angene kulomndeni angasheshi afuna kufaka mhlambe lokhu lati kona akathi thobe nje isikhashana oba vele akanohlala ingunaphakade la utophuma benekhala lakhe kodwa kwalesi sikhashana makoti ngibona kubalulekile ukuthi akatithobe phasi kwamamazalo wakhe afune futhi make ngifundzise lokho angikwadi ngicela ukuthi ungisite ungifundzise angikwadi ukubonza liphalishi angikwadi ngathi jwayele kudla ama rice ekhaya ngifundzise amfundzise ukuthi la ekhaya makoti wami sithanda liphalishi leli ngathi liqinile balijwayele la ekhaya amfundzise ngibona ngathi uma ahluleka kufunza amakoti namakatala angafuni ukubeketela lo makoti ongafuni ukufunza qale lapho ingcabano.
Siyabonga Gogo for the words of encouragement. So we need to be patient with one another. For the mothers-in-law, they must be patient with their daughters-in-law, and the daughters-in-law, they must be open for teaching, for training, to understand the culture, the new culture, and the way things are done in the family. So we must not be quick to want to do our own thing. Let's try to blend in the families. So now, Phumzile, realistically, how important is it to deal with the issues as they arise and not sweep them under the carpet?
Thank you, Mother. Kubalulekile ukuthi in each and every relationship, we need to be open. We need to communicate. Let us not just assume ukuthi Magetala will understand, Makoti will understand without us talking. We need to be open about our expectations. As Makoti comes in, as Magetala comes into the picture, Magetala must tell Makoti ukuthi what is it that she is expecting from her. And Makoti naye akasho ukuthi what is she expecting from the mother-in-law. Like Gogo has already indicated ukuthi Bomakoti, they're coming from different backgrounds with different upbringing. And as you come into this family, you are coming being a different person and you need to adjust to the new family. So communication is very, very key in each and every relationship, like Gogo has already indicated. Thank you, ma'am.
The first case that we are going to look at. So I would like you to assist us from the social worker background to identify the problems and to solve, how to solve the problem. So here it says, I had a problem with my mother-in-law. I was not Tsonga enough, apparently. Then she wanted her son to get married to a Tsonga man. So Tsonga woman. So the first day I was introduced, like the first day she saw me, she says, the mother said to her, you don't look Tsonga, and I don't want my grandchildren to be diluted. So that was the first, interaction. And then she continues, she says, and this way, this was her journey, throughout. She gave love to the mother-in-law, and she never really got much back from him. Whenever she called her son needing something, she would go buy and go deliver to him. And then she stayed with her, after 20 years or so, the last 2 months of her life, nursing her, she was sick. And then, but then it was still a struggle, even then. When she gave her medication, she would say to her, she's getting worse. She's not getting better. But then when the same medication is given to her by the helper in the house, she would testify and speak and rave about it several times during the day and say, I am getting better. Thank you for giving me the medication. So what do we make out of this kind of behavior? Rejection from the beginning until the last, after 20 years. So,
I think the problem here is acceptance. All of us, we are human beings. Before any other thing, we are human beings. I can be black, I can be yellow, I can be green. You need to accept me the way I am. Being a Shangan coming into the relationship, Magetala needs to understand ukuthi my husband, her son, loved me the way I am. We found each other along the way and love grew into the whole thing. So the issue of someone being a Shangan, someone being Sotho, in a relationship, awukabaluleki kakhulu lokho because esikulethile lana, it's love more than any other thing. And we need to accept people the way they are and learn to be accommodating. I believe ukuthi Bo Mmastwale, Bo Magetala nabo, as they came into the families, laba bakuwo, they came being different people. And the families learned to accommodate them. So kune issue of acceptance. Let's accept each other the way we are.
Let us accept each other the way we are. We will never be the same. We'll never be the same. People come in different, sizes, color, and your son is free. Let your son be free to marry and to, explore and marry whoever they want to marry. And once, we said in one of the episodes, once your son has chosen, he has chosen for all of us. So we must learn to live with the choices that our sons make and support them in those choices. So, Gogo, what would you make of that mother-in-law? And how can we change it? Sitting alone, mama, what makes the mother-in-law not to be able to deal with the differences that, she's confronted with. Now you get Makoti, she's talking too much. You get Makoti, she's wearing like this and different from how you are used to. She's coming from a poor background. The family is well off. So how do we deal? How must Magetala accept or receive Makoti that is different or coming from a different background to avoid the conflict?
Engakusho mina ukuthi maketala una avume ukuba ngilomake lo shintsha kumele ukuthi kube nema changes ekhala. Ngeke uthi wena ngoba ngumsutha umfuni umakoti welishanga. Let's say mhlambe namadodana lamathathu ekhala. Omunye uqhamukele leshangano, omunye uqhamukele leSwazi, omunye uqhamukele nomsuthu. Laba bantu bonke labo ufuna bamukela ngokufanayo. Ungabe bese yakhetha ukuthi ngoba lo ulishangana umfundi lo umsuthu uthanda umsuthu. Maketala akufanele angene lapho ukhethele indodana ikhethele. And uma toqhubeka nalento yakhe lenje akungeke kube khona ukuthula la kuleli khala. Akamiyeke ukuthi khethele nomntwana wakhe. Khethela ishangana lakhe uyalithanda akalibuke nje ukuthi lelishangane limphatha njani noma liyamthobela noma uya angabe bese uthi noma ngabe ulunga kanjani mntwana ebantu athi ngoba wena ulishangane angufuni. No.
Hey, ihambe ibenzima, tribalism. So we must avoid as mothers-in-law to be tribalistic, not to be able to tolerate the differences that are there. Ngifuna psychologist I wrap up lento le because ingabukeka incane but it's big. It may look like small but it tends to become very big. So from a psychological perspective, what are the issues? Can you please wrap it up for us so that we shouldn't be struggling with what our mothers struggled with? If the generation of our mother, my mother-in-law struggles with that, and then I also come up and struggle with that, my makoti must deal with that. So can you please wrap it up for us from a professional perspective?
Thank you, Mother. I think it's important for everyone to acknowledge and to know ukuthi in any relationship, particularly this one, there's a lot of insecurities that are provoked as somebody else enters into this family, this new family for her. So there's a lot of insecurities la provokekago ku mother-in-law. So even for her, there's a loss of a relationship, there's a threat that is coming along my way. So, and there's that thing of wanting to just find every small thing wrong about this person because you are uncomfortable with what she brings and the idea yokuthi she is coming to take over your son and coming to take favor of your son. So it provokes a lot of insecurities even in the mother of the son for her, and in every way she will try and protect that. Remember in the beginning, we mentioned how as we get into these relationships, we come with a whole lot of our issues. So we should also acknowledge that both people are coming with their own stuff. Umakoti as well. She comes with her own stuff, mom comes with her own stuff, and it can create a lot of tension emotionally for both the people in the relationship. And enala ma generalizations to as people that come from way back ukuthi we are taught from a young age ukuthi a certain tribe is not good enough, a certain tribe they are ugly, a certain tribe they can't do this, and these things are ingrained in us. Sigcina sikhula nato, sihamba nato, and we treat people based on just generalizations and not facts. And what I know of a particular tribe, I then tend to treat this child. And there are many things that would need to be corrected. Ideally, I think it's just that maybe the problem is that we are not open to the ideas of talking about it, to say, well, mom, I am bringing a girl who is not of our culture. I am bringing a girl who is not of our language. How accommodating are you to her? Are you prepared and willing to listen to her? Are you prepared to accept her? Mom must be honest enough, and I think that we also need to face the reality, as mothers, to know that your sons are not always going to do what you want them to do. Allow them to live their lives, allow them to make their choices, even in their relationships, emotionally. And I will insist on this again. Work through your own emotional stuff as a mother. Work through your own burdens that you come with from your own experiences, whether have been married or never been married, because a lot of those issues will play themselves out in this new relationship. And if you find someone who's vulnerable, who's young, who's not supported, she will crumble. And then it becomes cases for us, that we find Bomakoti becoming depressed, having bipolar. And so we need to manage that.
So let us work on our own insecurities. Udliwa yini, so that you shouldn't project that on other people. So I want us right now to look at some of the discrepancies that often occur between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law. So there is a case that you have been given. It says, whenever there are family gatherings, preparing food and cleaning up after the event, only daughters-in-law work. The rest don't touch anything. It does not matter how big the event may be. The other daughters do not help, but we are told the same. And then there is a similar case also that is sent to us. It says you are coming from work and you find your in-laws and those that were at home the whole day waiting for you to cook. You must, however, start by washing the dishes that they used the whole day, and also end by washing the ones that you cooked for them after they've eaten. And when you discuss the issue of sharing the chores, it falls on deaf ears. Pumzile, you are a social worker. You are dealing with people's wellness also. Is this supposed to be this way? What is it that went wrong? And are we aware, or people are they aware, or they think that things are just okay? Or are we promoting an abnormal situation deliberately? So I want to know what is happening, and are we going on, or are we going to resolve this, or should we be resolving this type of issues?
Firstly, let me say, Mother, we need to understand that all of us were human beings. Sonke siyadzinwa. I think it goes back to the very same point that we spoke about to Ishama expectations. When somebody comes into the relationship, what is it that we're expecting from that particular person? Is this person coming to change the way things have been done in the family? Are we marrying a slave that is going to be running around after us? Or are we adding a member that we are going to treat like any other member in the family? For me, I don't understand, and I don't believe why should other people be doing other things when other people are not supposed to be doing other things? Why are we expecting Bomakoti to be running around and doing almost everything when their daughters in their house, they're not doing anything? For me, I believe for a smooth relationship, all of us, we need to take responsibility. All of us were supposed to be sharing the roles and responsibilities.
Daughters-in-law, we bought you, we paid. So we must see our money working. Here is another question. I'm going to run through it and summarize. It says, every time my mother-in-law shows up, we never know what is going to hit us. It depends on how much she had to drink. She was alcoholic. So her personality varied as to how much she took in. So at one point, every time when she introduces me to her friends, she'll say, meet my fat daughter-in-law. So I tried so much to understand where she is coming from. I realized that she was raised by a father that was rude, the father that was harsh on her, and she was deserted by the mother. And later on, because of her life, how her life unfolded, she was also widowed twice. So she built this wall around her and became very hard, so that when you deal with her, you must be afraid of her. So how do we deal with such issues, Pumzile? Here you are married, you are subjected to, the swearing. Some, they tell you that I was beaten by my sisters-in-law. Some, they'll say I was beaten by my brothers-in-law. The bullying and, they push them, they do whatever they do, because makoti is not supposed to have feelings. So how must we deal with such treatment that daughters-in-law sometimes receive?
Mother, let me first acknowledge that this is a very painful story. I mean, being called names, it's very a bad experience. Coming back to the question that we're talking about, I would like to say that there is no one, Mother. You cannot do something bad and then you want to justify it. All of us, we go through challenges. When you realize that something is not okay in your life, you need to seek help. That's why it's that's why we are having social workers. That's why we are having pastors. That's why we are having all kind of professional help that we can get out there. It's not sufficient to justify the behavior, to say, I'm behaving like this because of 1, 2, 3, 4 things happened. Because you are destroying people's life and you are destroying your life at the same time. Imagine the relationship that they had with the in-law. Every time she knows that the mother-in-law is coming, you will try to run away, you will try to come with all kind of excuses, you'll fake sickness because you don't want to be subjected to the pain that she went through. So what I'm trying to say is that whatever issues that we go through, we need to, get assistance. She went through a lot, this mother-in-law, we understand that, but that is not a reason enough to project your pain to other people. She needs to find a way of dealing with the issues, because whatever issues that she went through, they're perpetuating and they will go on and on and on and on, and it's not helping anyone at the end of the day.
Gogo, I understand in the olden days, these things were very common, how makotis would be treated, and those things were like covered up. People wouldn't come out and talk about them. You wouldn't even go home to tell them that this is how I am being treated as a daughter-in-law. How can we, in our days, begin to repair the damages? As we are now, there are those, like in our age groups or in your age groups, that already they have suffered the damage. So kumoshakele, and kumoshakele some 30 years or 40 years back, but they still have the pain. So how do we begin to repair these damaged relationships?
Qiniso ukuthi lesikhathi lesi ngibona sengazuthi njengoba ngani Phumzile ukuthi sina yonke inhlobo nabodokotela, ama-social worker, ama-psychologist, yonke lento ikhona. Abakhona ukuthi badile nomuntu ofana nalokho. Ngibona ukuthi labantwana bakhe, ngoba unabantwana, labantwana bakhe lanabo nomakoti wakhe, bangayibukeli phasi, bangamthathi uphilile makwabo. Bangaqali bacabanga ukuthi uphilile. Njoba bona bayasebenza banedimali, abamthathe bamise aye bayomchecka. Batho khona laba ama-professional ukumchecka ukuthi i-background yakhe ukhule njani. Batawuthola ukuthi abatshela ukuthi yena ukhule njani. Leti dino se uhamba nato uze ufika nato, bantwana bakhe bateka, bonke baba nabomakoti, kwendeka nabatukulu. Solo ngilokho lo so. Bamiyekela bambona njengehlanya. Kanti lo muntu uyagula. Ngicela ukuthi mina ngubonako abathathe makoti angamzodi. Khulumeni nomyeni wakhe. Bafunzile bafunda amabhuku. Bathathe lo makwabo bamise kulabantu abazomsiza. Ukuze kungamoshakali kakhulu. Qiniso uyagula. Mina indlela lengibona ngayo. Ngeke umsito ngamthatha nangabe simise etinyangeni. Tiyomenda bowes. Ubuya sangoma. Yena ngabe yasangoma. Sewutomosha kakhulu la. Yena oqabana nonke ubaba usangoma vele kutathi wena uyaganga. Wena yaloyo. Lo nje leli khaya liphelile abamisobodokotela banekhulumile.
umama naye akavume usizo. So most of the time when you take somebody for therapy, it's somebody that will say, I want it and I want to change. So if we can come to a point where when we are given the help, we accept the help, then we will begin to heal the relationships. We have listened to similar stories a lot for where I come from in the church. I've listened to similar stories, women suffering in terms of these issues. As a psychologist, you have listened, Kuku, to similar stories. There is a case that is given in Tsonga. Says Pumbizile, please read it out for us so that Kuku must give us a way forward.
Mama Zala va pfumeleriwa ku nghenela makoti akamereni a ha etlele va n'wi rhuketela na ku va n'wi byela ku u na futa a nga koti ku tlilina a nga koti ku disciplina vana ivile makoti a ri na n'wana wa 4 weeks a byeriwa ku a pfuki a ta tlilina a swi pfumelela sweleswo na.
So what does that mean?
It means Mama Zala uvumelekile yini ukuthi angangena ekamereni la makoti nemntwana wakhe athuke makoti amtshele ukuthi makoti ulidlapha akavuke ayotlina makoti akakhoni ukudiscipline abantwana bakhe kuvumelekile yini lokho na.
So the mother-in-law goes to Makoti's daughter-in-law's bedroom.
Yes.
And then when she gets there, she swears
Yes.
at
Makoti.
the daughter-in-law, telling her to wake up, clean, she's dirty. And on the other hand, Makoti has got a 4-week-old baby. So is it acceptable?
Completely unacceptable. It feels for me, Ngati, this is abusive behavior. As in the previous case, I think it says a lot about the histories and the psychological dynamics here labo Mama Zala, because it seems Ngati nabo, they've got a lot of pain and a lot of trauma that they are bringing into their relationship. To mask the pain, the previous Mama Zala was drinking for that. And I think it would be important for one to explore and to acknowledge what is going on. And then the anger, as I said earlier on, the anger out of the loss of your son that this girl brings into propels you go to manungene, and there's no boundaries there. You stop respecting their privacy. Who would barge into your room? The very same things that Nati would teach children to say, knock before you enter. So Mama Zala must be taught to respect her children, even if it's in her house. So I think there's lack of boundaries there, lack of respect for the other person, and a complete disacknowledgement of a human being, because she would still need to be treated with respect and acknowledged in the home. And understand, a 4-week-old baby, we don't know whether it was via C-section, and for that person to be then expected, and of the postpartum blues, everything is just going all over. And so it needs, as a mother, you've been there to understand and accommodate for that. So it's really not normal, and I think it's very, very disrespectful and borders on being abusive to the daughter.
Let us empathize with our daughters-in-law. Let us love our daughters-in-law, and let us work on making our lives comfortable. So here is the last one that I want us to look at. Coco, there was one day when we had some of the talks, the women asked a question when coming to submission, say, Mama, you submit, and you submit, you go down, you keep going down, you keep kneeling, and then you end up on the floor, and then there's nowhere to submit to. Now you must start digging so that you must go under now. So when all the strategies you have exhausted all the strategies, you have prayed, you have called people in to encourage you, you have psyched yourselves and, done everything. What can the mother-in-law do to save the situation, and what can the daughters-in-law do as we wrap up?
Mina angithi sengihambe isikhathi eside emshadweni. Ukubekezela kubalulekile emshadweni. Ukubekezela. Ukubekezela kunomvuzo. Ngoba wathi ukuthi ngale uma usheshe unqamula lokubekezela kwakho. Sibusiso sakho lesi bewufanele usithole. Awusakhona ukusithola ngoba uhluleke ubekezelela lezi zinto wena makoti ujahile. Fast awumbekezeleli lo mamazala uyoluza. Ake ngithi ukuthi kancane relate story saNahum noRuth esifunda ngabo eBhayibhelini. iBhayibheli lithi wayena 2 yabo makoti lo Makatala Nahum nendoda yakhe. Abafana bakhe abayi2 bafa le 2 abafana babili. Wasala nalabo makoti akanantombazana. Wasala nale 2 yabo makoti lo mama indoda yakhe ihambile. Wasebabida abita labo makoti bakhe labayi2 ngokulandzelana kwabo. Wathi madodakazi ami ngibona ukuthi sesandla sikaNkulunkulu sibenzima kimi. Ngicela kube yilona lo ahamba biyelo kwabakubo. Inkosi nibusise la nasabiyela kwabakini ngoba usandla sikaNkulunkulu singiphathe kabi. Angikisengimdzala angeke ngisathi intoba nendoda ngibeleke lamanye amadodana niwahlalele nina bengamadoda eni. Kodwa omunye wabona ukuthi vele ngeke sendeka. Wavalela isekahla makezala wakho amanga wabiyela back kubo. Wathi lo Ruth no mama mina ngihamba nawe. Uhamba nami kunani? Anginalutho. Uhamba nami ngithi wathi ungancengi. Tholo makoti. Ungancengi ukuthi ngehlukane nawe. La uyakhona ngiyakhona la uhlala khona ngihlala khona bantu bakho bantu bami kufa leke sahlukanisa. Wathula lo mama bahamba. Uma ngabuka le story lo ntombazana le phambili akuvukanga maketalo wakhe yomfunela kudla. Anje ngumalokatane anganandoda angana next. Wayicela kumamazala wakhe. Elinye into letihle noma kusiphila kulesikhathi lesi asebothi thatha. Wathi mama ngisaphuma ngiyofuna lesingakudla. Usho lo malokazana amvumele maketalo wakhe aphume ayothola ukudla abuye lo makoti ami athi make ngibuye nalo. Afike akupheka bade kwethu. Amtshele inkinga lahlangane nato letibusiso lahlangane nato le ngaphandle. Tshela mamazala wakhe. Yona uthi egcineni lo makoti lo. uNkulunkulu wambusisa kangakanani. Wambusisa kangangokuba wathola lenye indoda esihlobo angisho ukuthi akwenjani. Wathola indoda lesihlobo.
Lenye indoda.
Akazange lo mamazala athi futhi wabafunela ngalo mamazala. Uthi hayi makoti lo njengemluzi. Uthi amayenza noma kuphi. Wabuya naye la. Ekhaya wamtholela indoda. Le ndoda le sisindisiwe nje ngilechamuka lapha kule family leya lo makoti wavuma ukuzithoba phansi kwamamazala wakhe. So ngiyayivisisa le nto right siyahlupha kodwa sibekezeleleni.
Thank you, Gogo. Hey, athi sibekezeleleni. Be patient with us. What I love, Gogo, maybe it's a topic for another day. The relationship of Naomi and Ruth was very normal, was not toxic. Naomi and Ruth bebakhona ukuhlala phansi bakhulume. So ibe yinhle i-relationship yabo. So let us work towards being Naomi as mothers-in-law, so that the Ruth must be able to find a conducive environment for us to learn from us, to be supported by us, the Naomis. So let us be that Naomi that will be able to encourage the daughter-in-law and support the daughter-in-law and not discourage and speak down on the daughter-in-law. So may God help us to do that. Powerful word of encouragement, Mama. We will push, we'll hang on a little bit more. So, Kuku, let us wrap up, because there are those situations that one may feel like this is my last energy. So, do mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law come into consultation together? So, in those situations, that it's tough. Mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law, have you ever seen them coming to consult together and say, we have got issues in your practice?
Thank you, Mother. It's rare that they will come, in my experience, I think, but individually. So it's often the daughter-in-law who will come reporting difficulties. And sometimes it's the difficulties that she has maybe with her husband and feeling as though mother-in-law is not as supportive with her. So not to necessarily say, Guti, they are fighting together and how she wishes Gutu Mama Zala would be much more supportive. It really, really wouldn't be a bad idea if we can facilitate a process where Bomakoti na Bomagezala can come into our platforms and attempt to get Lisido asisho Guti even both of them bayagula, but ukuthi they need help. They need help in communicating. They need help in understanding each other. They need help in working through this journey of this new relationship that they have. And we don't diagnose unnecessarily. So asisho ukuthi as you walk into the door, this one is schizophrenia, this one is that, but that there is a problem somewhere. Can you help us work through it? If there's a need for a family session, then we will call that with the husband, with the sisters to accommodate for that, because as they both come together, kunalala manye members of the family that play a big role. It is something that we need to look into, and we need to encourage and support them in this journey, particularly if both of them want to work at the relationship.
So you have heard for yourselves from the expert today, you have heard that it is possible that you can all go for family therapy, just to go and get advice as a family, professional advice as a family, so that you save that relationship, especially for those relationships that are still fresh, that still have got the opportunity to improve. Let us try to get as much help as we can from the people that can, not only from your friends, but also from professionals. To all the experts today that you are having, says Pumzile, Gugu, we just want to say thank you for taking your time and sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. Mama, thank you so much for bringing your experience into this show today. It has never been this special. So thank you very much. And also to the viewers out there, thank you for sending us your stories. You have shared your experiences, and we're able to, to begin to unravel the conflicts that are there and be able to share some information and light as to how to resolve. Thank you for assisting the process. And your closing remarks, Pumzile, what do you say to the viewers as you say goodbye?
My closing remarks, nobody is perfect. We learn until we die. So each and every relationship, there is an opportunity for growth. Let us be open to learning and growing.
Thank you very much. Gogo, ubavalelisa njani babukeli?
Babukeli, ngicela ukuthi asifunzeni ukubeketelelana. Ngicela mama ketala, sibabeketelele bomalukatani bethu. Bomalukatani beketelelana bomakatala benu, ukuze sakhe le family ikhule phambili. Ningayekeli ukuya kuma professionally uma netinkinga bayonisita ngoba bakufunzele lokho.
Gugu.
Thank you, Mother. I recommend a change in the communication manners that people have. Communicate about the issues that are there, from the expectations to what we want, how we envision things, to the current. Let's be realistic also. Guti, some of the situations are beyond you, and let's look for the necessary help that we can get outside of our relationship.
Thank you so much. We hope we have managed to provoke you to begin to think as to how to meaningfully resolve the conflicts that are there between you and your mother-in-law, you and your daughter-in-law. Albert Einstein says, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. From me, Mother O at Mme Mmastwale on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week in our grand finale for this season. Don't miss out.